That's Dale Earnhardt's first championship car. These are real cars here.
So we're here at the Curb Motorsports Museum, and if you don't know who Mike Curb is, you probably heard his name before, but Gene's gonna fill you in on that.
Mike Curb has started a record company in Los Angeles, California in 1960s. This is just a handful of the ones that he's produced for thousands of people.
So how does a recording music guy get into all of this? I'm still not even clear on how the transition happened.
I'm not really clear on it. He started owning and sponsoring race teams back in the 80s. One of his first cars was Dale Earnhardt's first championship car.
You have that over there, don't you?
We have that car here, yes. As a matter of fact, we have 38 personal and race cars here. We got Leanne Rimes. We got her first car here, and she is on Curb Records. The first car there you see is the Napa car. It won the K&N Pro West Series in 2016. And the Red Man car, that's the last car that was on the track with tobacco products. I don't remember the date that they made them stop taking advertising off of cars with tobacco products, but that was run at Daytona, and it was the last car on the track with tobacco products. Jay Sauter and Johnny Sauter drove these cars. Those two ran out of our shop in, they used to be about 3 blocks up the road up here.
Is that like across from the Food Line?
That's up at the Food Line. Old Food Line store. It was what it was. It was a car dealership. It was Bill Dove Motors. And Mike bought that building, and we moved the race shop into there, and that's where the actual race shop was at. That's where it was at.
Is that in the same places where Widenhouse Motors was?
Yep. No, Widenhouse was beside it.
Okay.
But they tore Widenhouse down. One of the pictures that we've got right here of the old building, you'll probably notice the guy, if you want to walk back and take the building, Dale Jarrett drove out of that building.
So this is across the street from the Food Line?
That's across the street. That's across the street from the Food Line building.
Huh.
If you notice how many race cars that we were just on small, they were just a small team back then. And you look at the race cars lined up down the wall. But Dale drove the 98 car. Ron Bouchard drove out of that building. Stevie Reed, a number of drivers drove out of that building. And the car you see beside this car was Dale Jarrett's car. That's the 32 car. Run it North Wilkesboro, Hickory, a lot of the old short track called racetrack.
But Mike never had to go hunt these cars down to get them back. He just kept them?
We just kept them, yep.
So these never left the possession of Curb?
Before we opened up the museums, we had a storage building in Concord that most of these cars were in.
Huh.
And we would when they would move the race team or change race teams, we'd take one of the cars and keep it.
So was that like a established thing? You would just keep one and move on?
Yep.
Interesting.
Go to the next group. Morton Software was a good sponsor for us.
Who is the Agajanian?
Okay, Kerry Agajanian, he was a big Indy person. He didn't drive, he just sponsored an owner team. Huh. He was part owner with Mike. If you notice the sticker, you think you took a picture of the sticker, Curb Agajanian Motorsports?
Yeah.
It used to be a long time ago, it was CAA Performance. And that was Curb, Agajanian, and Andretti.
Really? Which
Andretti was part of it.
Huh.
And he backed out, and they didn't change it to CA Performance Group or CA Motorsports.
Now these Indy cars are something that are pretty interesting that I don't know much about because that's not in my wheelhouse. What can you...
These Indy cars are something else. These four are back in the 80s. There's some stickers on these up here that shows 84, I think it's 84. Billy Boat drove for Mike with that one there. It had a speed record at Memphis Speedway at 203 miles an hour. This shows this isn't really what we showed here. We showed a difference in the aerodynamics.
Yeah.
Of what the 1980s were, and you know, back in 2012, 2013.
I like this little velocity stack for this turbo here.
Steve drove that car.
Was the original exhaust pipe missing for this?
Yeah.
I see, it's just like, it fooled me for a second, and I'm like, wait, that's a PVC pipe. I can imagine after 30 years, stuff, you know. Wow, these things are just insane. It looks like an aircraft fuselage in here. This one caught my eye when we were in here with Carrie, because I read John Andretti's book, and he talks about this
car here.
Yeah, in the book. Which is a very good book, by the way. You should read it. Were the Indy cars from Kannapolis too?
California.
So they had two bases of operations?
Yeah. No, they didn't have nothing in Kannapolis on Indy. Everything, all that Mike's Indy stuff was in California.
So did he only have the Indy and the NASCAR, like NASCAR was here, Indy was in California?
NASCAR was here, Indy was out in California.
Was there any other types of, was there?
Not then it wasn't, back then it wasn't. Now we run the Outlaw cars with Casey Kane and Mike, the Silver Crown Series with Tony Stewart and Mike.
Back in the day, before guys had paddle shifters and all kinds of screens and stuff, they actually had to take their hand off the wheel and do it themselves. There's like no room in this thing. I can't even, like, somebody my size probably could never have even raced a car like this back then.
Then here you got one of the stickers that shows 1984.
When I saw that one over there, I was under the impression there was a seat insert or something that was not there, but this just looks like, I mean, was there some kind of foam that went in there? Or
Got to be some kind of foam that used to be in there, yeah.
They just sit right on the metal?
Well, see, nowadays they make their fit to drive.
Back then, I wouldn't be surprised if they sat right on the metal.
Right on the metal.
What's the backstory on this car?
That's Dale Earnhardt's first championship car. That's the Oldsmobile. The way I understand it, they drove the Oldsmobile on the super speedway track, drove the Chevrolet on the short track. That's the one that, that's the super speedway car there. I have the Chevrolet on a trailer out back that I take to events. If somebody would like to, you know, sponsor it one day to take it out to a party or a grand opening or something like that.
I'm sure people would want to do that if they knew the option was there.
Yeah.
I would.
I'll probably get calls.
What was the arrangement between Mike Curb and Rod Osterlund back then?
Back then, I don't have no idea. Honestly, I don't have no idea what how they arranged anything.
Did Mike buy the car after that championship season?
No, he bought it before the championship season. He owned the car when it won its first championship.
Interesting. Yeah, that's what I'm foggy on, is because everybody said you see Dale won with Rod Osterlund, and I don't know what the
agreements or nothing like that.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
I'm sure people know about it, but
yeah, we'll read about it in the comments afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Somebody was there for it.
I posted beside of you right there where it says, I took Dale Earnhardt's car to Concord Motor Speedway in 2015, and we made a TV commercial for Busch Beer. He had a few older cars that was down there with us, and Kevin Harvick was there with his car. And
is this the same Concord Speedway that doesn't exist anymore?
Yep. It's got grass growing up through it. Matter of fact, it had grass growing up when we did the TV commercial.
Really? Huh.
But I think now they've tore it flat down. Not sure, but we'll probably get comments on that too.
If you like the hat and the shirt that I'm wearing, you can find those at staplestonautoworks.com. Anything we have on the website gets packed and shipped by us right here in our shop. We just have it there so you can be part of the channel and what we're doing. If you'd like to support the documentation and preservation of racing history, you can check out our website.
Now the Petty car, that is the 199 win car. Mike owned the team and sponsored the team when Petty won his last 2 races.
So didn't that work like Richard, for whatever reason, left Petty Enterprises, took the 43.
Him and his brother got in a big fuss, and Petty just moved out.
So he took the 43 and STP with him to Mike Curb.
Sponsor, number, everything with him. We came up to a building that used to be about 3 blocks up the road here. Moved into that building. I'll show you a picture in a minute about that building. And the last 2 races that he won was one under Curb Motorsports. That's the 199 car. The 200th car we donated to the Smithsonian Institute.
Does it still have an engine? Oh yeah, it does.
Yes. 25 years later, after Petty won his 200th win, we ran the 27 car here. Jason Keller drove that car at Daytona. We took this car to Daytona, and he drove it around the track for his 25th anniversary. They wouldn't let him have the one out of the Smithsonian.
So this runs still?
Yeah, yeah.
Can we see the engine?
Still runs. Yeah.
I don't know if somebody came here, they couldn't just come up here and pop the hood, but at least we can show them what it looks like.
Yeah, we can show them what it looks like. These are real cars here. These hoods about as heavy as some other car.
Is that the same engine from that race too? Like how original did this car stay?
No, I think this engine was built after we moved the car, or after we got the car into our shop, and all they done was fixed it up to run at Daytona for his 25th anniversary.
Yeah, that's I always like seeing these things, like just the things they used to do back then, like that unique breather setup with that arch welded in there. And they put it on the left side because all the oil would want to go up to the outside of the turn.
All the shocks they use now, they don't use, one shock on each side, baby.
Is there an engine in that one?
No.
Just the other one.
We have the museum up we took and had this one completely restored.
Was it in rough shape before that?
It was in fairly rough shape. It wasn't to the point to where we were going to junk it. It was in pretty good shape that repainted, had the bumpers re-chromed on it and everything. Rick Brakefield that lives across town over here, his shop across town, he's the one that does all our cars. Then we go this side of the room. Got an outlaw car Casey Kane and Mike's owners of. The Tony Stewart and Mike owners of that one. If we had all the cars that Mike had sponsored and owned, we'd have to have a building twice the size.
Is there another building somewhere else with more stuff in it? This is it?
This is it.
Does Mike still have current, does he just sponsor cars now, or does he still own a team?
I I don't know if he don't own a team by himself.
Huh.
Just like him and Casey owned that over there.
Was this dyno from the race shop?
Dyno was from the race shop up here. It was outside. And when we moved down here, before we put the doors in the front of the building, we moved it in here, had them bolted down to the floor. And it actually, matter of fact, the day before we moved it down here, there was a race car sitting on it running.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
I mean, it was used all the time up there.
When did that shop close?
In 2000, well, when the race shop, actual race shop, I can't remember when it actually closed, but the 2007 is when we moved into this building.
Is that how that car was stored before it was restored?
No, that one is the one that they found somewhere up north. It was up like up toward Winston-Salem or somewhere up there. A guy called and said that he had an Earnhardt car, and Jerry Spurgeon, that used to work for Mike here at the old building and also this building, he talked to him, and Jerry told me that they found that car, and he called Mike or something that wanted to know if we needed this car, and it was told no, we didn't need it. So we think that's the one is at Alex Beam's in Memory Lane.
Okay.
Because he's got a curb car over there. And we think that's the one that was up there. Because we called him back about 2-3 days later to see if he still had it, and he didn't have it. He had sold it.
What year was that? That doesn't look like it's
that
in...
was back, probably in 91, way on back, 80. It was back in the early 90s.
Yeah, Beam was filling that place up in the early 90s,
yeah.
so that doesn't look like it's in too bad shape there.
And this is the picture here of the old building. That's where the actual race shop was when Petty moved into it.
Was it done on purpose to make this place kind of look like that? I feel like it's like the windows are sort of...
That was a car dealership. Huh. That was where they worked on their cars, used cars and new cars. When something would happen to them, that was back in the back, where the actual cars, they worked on this last picture right here on the bottom is, that's where, when they decided to reopen North Wilkesboro, this gentleman came in here one day with that picture, and he said, I want to show you something. And he showed me that picture, and it had Dale Earnhardt autograph on it. And he said, you know where that racetrack is at? I said, no, I sure don't. He said, that's North Wilkesboro. And he gave me that picture to put on the wall in here.
There's something about those big body cars that are just cool. So much, I mean...
Heavy.
Just huge. Look how big that thing is compared to, heck, even the one right next to it that was run a year later. Just barges. I don't know what the whole other half of this building is. What is it, North Carolina?
North Carolina Music Hall of Fame. We moved the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame in here in 2014. It was in Mike's other building uptown, and they wanted a little bit bigger space, so we let them move down here into this building, and it has been one great attraction. Front end of our truck here, that's the 98 truck. They wouldn't send me the whole truck. I wanted the whole truck. I thought those trucks were one of the prettiest trucks they ever made. But if you notice the picture, I don't know if you can get a glare on that picture or not, but the picture, you'll see the 98 truck is, that's the front end of that truck.
Okay.
It says historic 1, 2, 3, 4 finish at Las Vegas, led by Kurt Brackett driver. All 4 Thor Sports finished first, second, third, and fourth.
Huh.
First time it's ever been done. These are some of the old flags when Richard won the Firecracker 400.
Brad Parrott, Todd Parrott. Is that Ray Fox? Some of those are just so faded, hard to read them. Larry Wallace. I don't know if that's the engine builder Larry Wallace or the cam grinder Larry Wallace from Holman Moody.
That's when Johnny Sauter won the Richmond, Virginia.
Is that same car?
That's the car setting up on the dyno machine, yep. You should look at some of those pictures and those posters. That's 40 years of racing.
Greg Biffle, that car's from 2010, I guess.
This guy right here, that's Kerry Agajanian right here. And Mike Kerb.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You got more cars back.
Oh yeah,
back
we got
over there.
Room back here. It's got 12 more cars in it. We got 38 cars total here.
And we're gonna go through the music side too, but you can find that on the Stapleton 42 Extra channel. We'll put a link in the description for it. I've never seen this Jimmy Johnson car before.
This car won, I think it was either 96 or 98. What I was told was Homestead, Florida, the last race of the year. Mike put Jimmy Johnson in it, and I'm not exactly sure where he finished. I think 23rd, but
So that was probably one of Jimmy's first NASCAR starts, because he was running ASA in '98, I think, and then eventually going to Herzog. Interesting.
now back here in the back is we got a few personal cars, a few race cars. But if Mike can't find a sponsor for the team, he'll sponsor it himself. We'll put the CD cover. This is a CD. We'll put the CD cover on the cars and run it. The best example is Leanne Ryan's January 25th, 2005. That CD came out in stores. We run it on the race car for 15 races.
Was that because he had to, or because it was working?
Free advertising. Tim McGraw, that's the CD for Tim McGraw. Johnny Sauter's truck, he finished second at IRP.
I like these trucks. Like this body style truck and this body style Monte Carlo are like my two favorites from being a little kid. Which is probably weird for you, because like my perspective of a long time ago is like this, because I was 5. But you're probably like, yeah, that's like, you know, that ain't old.
That's not old.
We got a Randy LaJoy seat in this car. I got a seat coming from him for mine. What is the Viper for?
The Black Viper is Leanne Ryan's first car. She won Star Search in 1995, signed up with Curb Records. The way I understand it, somebody sold her this car.
That's one heck of a first car. How old was she?
15 years old.
How the heck?
No driver's license.
Well, first of all, it's a stick, so that's interesting in itself. Good.
No driver's license, and the way I was told, Mike hired a chauffeur to drive her around till she got her license. We brought the car back here to store it, and this is where it's been ever since.
Speaking of tiny cars.
This is a cutaway. Found this car, bought it, and we took the body off of it, and just to let people see what one looks like underneath. Because this is an older car. You're probably looking at 90, 98, 99 maybe. But this was a Chevrolet.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, it was just like this red and white blue one.
Huh. Yeah, they don't put the oil tanks there anymore.
Yeah, no.
Not even, you blow out a tire, you blow your oil tank out.
Yeah.
But back then they weren't so much concerned about safety as putting all the weight to the left that they could.
That's it. Then the cars back here. The black Cadillac you see was Mike's first car. He was in California at his house there. The little Metropolitan. And then the black Plymouth is the first car that won the Southern 500 in Darlington, South Carolina.
This is the actual car?
The way I understand it, it is Kerry James, which was one of Mike's partners, helped and brought this car in here.
Wow.
And the way I understand it, the way it was told, they tore the museum down or remodeling the museum in Darlington, and they called everybody to find it, try to find out who could get this car. And finally they called Kerry, and Kerry called Mike and see if they could put it in the museum, and he did. We didn't show you all because we want people to come see us. Our address is 600 Dale Earnhardt Boulevard, Kannapolis, North Carolina. And if you're ever over this way, come see us. The admission is free. We don't charge anything. We do have a little donation bucket that we put stuff in, but need to come see us.
Yeah.
Our phone number here is 704-938-6121.
And if you're driving down south for vacation or something and you're going down 85, Kannapolis is right off of I-85, so you could hop over here without really any effort.
Yep.
Make sure you go to the link in the description to find the Stapleton 42 Extra channel, which is where we post footage that doesn't necessarily vibe with the kind of things we normally post on this channel, but it's still interesting. Like, for example, when we went up to Massachusetts to buy this old Busch Series car to get racing, the guy had an abandoned rock quarry in his backyard. So we went and walked around there with the camera and made that a separate video on the Extra channel. You'll definitely want to check that out. It's pretty cool. Maybe you don't even know we have that channel. Now you do. We'll see you over there.